Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to talk about Korlash, Heir to Blackblade in deck number 402. This is a deck I've been working on for a little while. It is Swamps Matters. Let me scoot this microphone a little closer. I sounded a little hollow in the last one. So, Korlash he's a 4 mana. Power toughness equal number of swamps you control, and he regenerates. His grandeur ability does not matter in this deck. There are ways to make it matter in Commander, but not with him being the Commander because we can only have mono black cards. Like, for example, if he was in the 99, you could play blue black, play a Korlash, clone it. That way, the clone could be your Korlash. This would go to the graveyard for legend rule, and then you could do shenanigans and get it back and discard and get swamps. But anyway, that's a different deck. What we're doing here today is Swamps Matter. So let's take a look. I don't have a lot of this in any particular order. I started, but yeah. I do not have a Cabal Coffers. That was the one card that I really wanted to put in here that I did not have. So, outside of that, I think we're set. So, first off, I guess let's look at the original Swamps Matter card, Nightmare. This is Nightmare. I don't know why, but the reprinting of Nightmare that has the new art, there's 2 or 3 different new arts now, but to me, I don't think those are not. This is Nightmare. Melissa Benson, she painted Nightmare. We have Squelching Leeches from the whatever block that was. The enchantment block, Journey to Nyx, maybe. Power and toughness equal number of swamps. We have Dross Golem that is essentially free. It's just a 3/2 fear, but more than likely, when we draw it, it's going to be a free 3/2 fear, so that's not bad at all. We have Lash Wraith, and this, just equipping this to Korlash, that's kind of hardcore anyway, swamp squared. Or, well, it's not really squared, but you get what I'm saying. Magus of the Coffers produces a lot of mana for each swamp you control. Stratascythe is the other. You search for a swamp, obviously, and then it does the same thing as the other one does. Now, Quag Sickness is a removal spell, obviously. A minus is pretty good to get rid of even the indestructible things, and for each swamp you control is pretty good. Walking Atlas is going to help us play more lands per turn. Now, we have a lot of lands in the deck. I think I am playing with 40 swamps and 5 non-basics, or somewhere thereabouts. I'll link the deck list on deck stats. But now there is, as far as making those swamps tap for more mana, there is the Revenant and something else. And I think we'll get to it eventually. But for mana, since we're on the subject, I'm running a Soul Ring and a Phyrexian Totem as pretty much my only artifact ramp. Now, Sanguimancy, X cards and lose X life, where X is your devotion to black. That is... Why is that having trouble? So much trouble. Trouble. There. I guess my angle was just bad. And then, of course, we have Read the Bones. A similar thing, but just... Now, Liliana Shade just flat out searches for a swamp, and then, it does the shade thing. The Magus Marauder enters the battlefield. X target creature gain Intimidate and Haste, where X is your devotion to black. So this is probably going to give your entire team Haste and Intimidate, which is not bad. Scourge Familiar is going to let us discard a card to get a black mana. Here again, black mana matters. Liliana of the Dark Realms, just the straight swamp lily. I'm telling you, that is the sole goal when you play her is to get that emblem. I mean, it really, really is, because it's we are already running things like the Stronghold. Nantuko Shade is a good one. Here again, black mana symbol : it gets bigger. If we just need it to get in there with a Rogue's Passage or our commander for that matter to deal some damage. Will-O-Wisp is, of course, just an early blocker. Dalthy Slayer, not so much, black matters, but it's not getting blocked, that's for sure. Black Knight, another good 2-drop. There's our other mana doubler, Cryptghast, which I hesitated on not using Cryptghast. It's legal, but because cards in reminder or mana symbols in reminder set text are not part of color identity. But for me, I'm kind of a purist, y'all know that, and it just seems like this is an Orzhov card to me, but technically it is legal. So here in Swamps Matter, I felt the need to run it. Now, Crowd of Cinders is kind of a different take. Black permanents equal the number of black permanents you control. Of course, Gary, for the devotion to black. Bubbling Muck, Spell Ramp is pretty much what that is. It's our Black Tide. The Cabal Ritual, the Dark Ritual, or the Messe Noir. Source de mana. Of course, Doubling Cube is going to double our mana, and Cage Sun will do the same thing. Blackblade Reforged, +1 for each land. It's essentially +1 for each swamp. Yet again, Bad Moon's going to give all our team +1. Mutilate's going to give everything minus for each swamp. So this is what you're going to play after if you start getting outclassed. I'm running Staff Up the Death Magus mainly because if it didn't say swamp enters the battlefield, I probably wouldn't run it. But in Swamps Matter, I felt like it was the thing to do. In Garrick's Wake, of course, the one-sided wipe, Consume Spirit, a lot like Drain Life, for that matter. Mind Sludge is a card that counts swamps that, oh my gosh, somebody's just going to have a bad day. We got Plague Wind as another Wrath, a Virtue's Ruin. Now, we don't have like a whole lot of creatures, but Mortuary, any creatures put in your graveyard, just put it on top of your library. So you can lock yourself out of a game. So, be careful, especially if you've got something like Hell's Caretaker. There's a potential there for some loops, but there's also a potential there to really, really hurt yourself. Diabolic Tutor. Now, Strands of Night is another one to just 2 mana, 2 life, sack a swamp. Put a creature from your yard straight into play. That's really not bad. Corrupt counts a number of swamps, as does Tendrils of Corruption. A little more removal with Murder, Diabolic Edict. Now, Nightmare Incursion. Whoa. Nightmare Incursion it's a fun card, right? It's fun. It's fine. Where X is number of swamps you control and remove them from the game. This is one of those cards it's hard not to be greedy with because, even if you've made all your natural land drops at 6 mana, getting 6 cards, you want more. You do. You really, really do. Am running, this is a swamp. So that's kind of why I chose it. Yes, it's got the other ability. Each opponent loses 1 life. Sure doesn't hurt. Myriad Landscape's going to ramp out a couple of swamps for us. And, of course, Urborg is going to make all those swamps. Animate Dead is going to get us a creature that probably one of those that we have killed. Infinite Obliteration looks out of place. It does. I'm telling you, y'all are questioning my sanity right now. And, well, okay. probably have every reason to. But name a creature card. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards with that name and exile them. Now, let's face it, this has, I'll admit, if Persistent Petitioners didn't get printed, I may not be running this card. But the fact that we now have 4 creatures that you can have any number of that's a thing. Persistent Petitioners is a popular card. But even outside of those, how many times do you sit down and beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're like, well, once I get Kiki-Jiki and Pestermite, it's over. Or Kiki-Jiki plus anything. And if Kiki-Jiki is not their commander, and there are a lot of cards like that to where Infinite Obliteration can just take care of. Have an Umbra Stalker. It doesn't really count swamps per se, but it does count black mana symbols in your yard. Now, y'all forgive me. This is a horrible condition. Erebos. It was stuck to another card. It was given to me. So, it's Erebos. He does his thing. I guess that's just proving that, he is indestructible. Absolutely. He still does Erebos things, even though he's not in the best condition. And he's got the pay life draw card thing, Vampire Nighthawk's going to give us a little bit of life. It's a decent creature. It's actually a good creature. Mire's Toll. Target player reveals a number of cards equal to the number of swamps, and you choose one of them. Of course, they discard. It counts swamps, so it matters. And our last card, last but certainly not least, Torment of Hellfire. This is probably how we're going to win most games that aren't just, strap up Korlash and go to town. That is a win con there. Strap up Korlash and start beating face. Now, I steered away from the Infect package. That's not very Swamps Matters to me. I mean, it is black, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that, I don't know, it feels like I've been kind of crutching on that a little too much. So, but each opponent loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land permanent or discard a card. This is going to be not hard. I mean, I don't have to convince y'all in the merits of Torment of Hellfire. It's an amazing card. But that is what I have got for Swamps Matter, Mr. Korlash. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But I think we're going to shuffle and cut.